Lord Mandelson is digging himself into Washington, into his new job, and this intersection of British diplomacy and the ever volatile theatre of American politics is sort of encapsulated by Mandelson's efforts. Britain's newly appointed ambassador to the United States, a man once known for branding Donald Trump a danger to the world, now insists that he should be respected and understood, that we should respect and understand him. This is a political volte-face so swift and seamless that it could only be executed by a veteran of New Labour, a man who's risen from 2 ministerial resignations and still finds himself wielding influence. So, what does Mandelson mean when he calls for Britain to give Trump a chance? And how does this square with the pressing issues facing Britain, facing the UK, from impending steel tariffs to questions over Britain's place in the transatlantic alliance? Mandelson's arrival in Washington marks a significant shift in the UK's approach to the Trump administration, and with the Labour government freshly installed under Starmer, the goal is clear: manage the UK's economic interests while ensuring Britain remains a key ally in a rapidly shifting global landscape. Yet Trump's latest move, slapping a 25% tariff on steel and aluminium imports, has already thrown cold water on any rotation of any idea that there could be an easy UK-US reset. The tariffs threaten a sector already struggling to compete, with UK steel warning of a devastating blow. And given that the US is Britain's second largest steel export market, the stakes are high. And Mandelson insists he's concerned, but remains hopeful that Britain will avoid being collateral damage. How? Through the delicate art of private persuasion rather than public confrontation. A central theme of Mandelson's strategy is the idea that Trump's re-election represents one of the most consequential periods of modern America, and this is diplomatic code for he's back and we have to deal with it. Mandelson is betting on the personal relationship between Trump and Starmer, an unlikely but apparently warm rapport to smooth trade relations, and Starmer has already been working hard behind the scenes to secure exemptions from Trump's tariffs, though whether this will yield results remains to be seen. A crucial element in Mandelson's position is his insistence that Britain must respect Trump's strong and clear mandate for change. And this too is a diplomatic way of saying America has voted and Britain has little choice but to adjust accordingly. This is particularly significant given that Mandelson, a former EU trade commissioner, is viewed with deep suspicion in Trump's circles. It's therefore unsurprising that Mandelson has engaged in something of a mea culpa, walking back his past criticisms, and instead of painting Trump as an antidote for disenchanted Americans, they were repositioning himself to earn credibility in the White House. But it's unclear whether this is going to be efficacious or whether this merely reinforces the perception that Mandelson is a quintessential political chameleon. And, we wait to see what the result of that will be. Beyond the steel and aluminium tariffs, the broader UK-US economic relationship hangs in the balance, and Mandelson is keen to emphasise that Britain must focus on technology and investment partnerships with the US. And the UK is still seeking a trade deal with America. Still, after Brexit, 6 years after Brexit, a goal that has proved elusive even during Trump's first term. However, with Trump's America First policies taking centre stage once again, the likelihood of major concessions to the UK must be slim. There's also the delicate question of how Britain aligns itself with Trump's foreign policy. On issues such as Ukraine, China, Gaza, Britain and the US are not always in lockstep. Yet Mandelson is determined to ensure that UK's voice remains heard privately and directly rather than through public rebukes. Diplomacy is at its core is about personal relationships, and Mandelson's appointment as ambassador is unusual. Not since the 1970s has the UK sent a political figure rather than a career diplomat to Washington. And the advantage? Mandelson has direct access to Starmer and the highest echelons of British politics. The disadvantage? He brings political baggage, including past controversies over his connections to China and even past links to Jeffrey Epstein, topics that Trump's allies are unlikely to ignore. His challenge now is to prove himself as trusted back channel to Downing Street, a role he has embraced with characteristic self-confidence. He will also have to navigate the influence of other figures in Trump's orbit, including Nigel Farage, who has positioned himself as an informal bridge between the White House and the UK. And Mandelson has already made clear that Farage will have no official role, but that doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean it won't be a factor. So what does give Trump a chance really mean? For Mandelson, it's about pragmatic diplomacy, setting aside personal views, working within the realities of Trump's presidency, and ensuring Britain's economic and strategic interests are protected. It's an approach that will require careful navigation, given Trump's unpredictability and the pressures within the UK for a tougher stance on trade. And Mandelson has described himself as the eternal comeback kid. But will his latest comeback be remembered as a masterclass in diplomacy, or an ill-fated attempt to charm an administration that thrives on unpredictability? The answer will depend on whether Britain's economy benefits from this approach, or whether Mandelson, like so many before him, finds that navigating Trump's White House is a game with no clear rules. The line "give Trump a chance" is, I think, on reflection, utterly meaningless. It's got nothing to do with Trump. What Mandelson is actually saying, though he's not quite using those words, is give Mandelson a chance. Give Mandelson a chance to do his thing. That's not going to be very likely, is it?